What if the moments that broke you, the questions that have kept you searching, the times that you felt lost or uncertain, were never meant to defeat you, but to awaken you? Hi, I'm Shelley, and this is Your Sacred Soul. Here we share real stories of real people whose life experiences opened up their hearts and awareness, both personally and spiritually, forever changing the way they understood life. So today my guest is Doris Neumann, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Doris before she comes on. And during the summer months, Doris actually lives at her lakeside cottage in Seabright, Ontario. And in the winter, she lives in Calgary, Alberta. And Doris has a son and a daughter, and she welcomed her first grandchild, which was a grandson who isn't even a year old yet. And I know Doris is absolutely thrilled to have her first grandchild in her life. And in earlier years, Doris took her schooling and became a massage therapist for 13 years. Then she went back to school for visual merchandising, which she had a business for about 15 years. And I know she worked for Mercedes dealership, so that's cool. And then she said that the pandemic kind of retired her, so she ended up retiring during the pandemic, and now she's on to new adventures in life. And I know Doris is very creative and artistic, so she's been a part of the arts program at the York University and also at the Calgary University ongoing. So that's really cool. She has that creative side. Doris talks about how she values freedom and nature and just simplicity in living, which is always really good. If we just simplify our lives, we can do more. So I know Doris is on to new adventures in her life after retiring. So that's kind of cool. She doesn't know everything that's coming ahead, but I know she has desires. So I just want to thank you, Doris, for coming on and to share your life and your spiritual journey. And, one thing I know is our experiences in life, which we talked about, is just teaches us, and that's how we grow and learn in life. And as for all of us, we grow and learn in life. And so I'm excited to share have you share your story, and we'll discuss that today. So I know there were some points that really kind of woke you up in your life, which I know we'll talk about today. So welcome, Doris. Thank you for.
Thank you, Shelley. It's lovely to be here with you.
Yeah. So we'll just start with your background, because you said your parents immigrated over from Germany in the 1950s.
Yes, they did. And both immigrated separately and met here in Toronto. And 6 weeks later, they decided to get married. They
Uh-huh.
had so much in common, of course, their nationality. And so, yeah, I'm really, really grateful. I wanted to start off in saying that I was so grateful they showed me love and strength and so much wisdom and courage. And I'm very grateful to my parents for that. They were
Yeah.
very brave to move over, especially at that time
Yeah.
in the 50s. And they wanted a new life. So they taught me independence and entrepreneurship. So very grateful for them.
Yeah, and you had said that they actually didn't really want to have children, right?
Well, my mom was told that she couldn't have children.
Oh,
So
she couldn't. That's what it was. Yeah, and then they ended up having two, that you and your sister, right?
yes, yes, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, it's probably a wonderful surprise. And then can you talk about just a little bit about how you lived in two different places as well in your background with your mom and dad?
Yes, so when I first we were living in Toronto, and then till about 9 years old, and then they moved up to Rice Lake, and then when I was about 10, they bought a camp, so we would spend the winters at the house and then move over in the spring and spend the spring, summer, and fall over at the camp. So we had 9 little cottages there and ran the little store, and I did the landscaping and pumped gas, and it really taught me how to run a business and to think in that terms of being an entrepreneur in my life.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's really, and it's interesting how we had said that you had lived in the two places, and now you kind of had that pattern in your life of living in two.
Yes.
two places and you're still doing that. So it's interesting sometimes how we get used to something in life and that
Hmm.
feels good and that comfort and you value that freedom and you like that freedom.
Yes, I do. I do. I think it's interesting to live in having the city life in Calgary. I love it because there's opportunities like schooling and
Yeah,
dancing and music and drumming and all kinds of
right.
things that we can be involved with. And then in the country, it's just kind of like hanging out and enjoying the water and the garden and grounding on the earth and my little labyrinth and just have it that complete opposite life
Oh,
and enjoy both.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
forgot to mention that you love drumming. You've done that for many years, and
Yes, I
I
have.
and I've tried it too, and it's very enjoyable, right? It's
Yes,
quite a soothing practice, and I know that and then you love music and dancing as well, so that's
yes,
a part of the fun part of life, right? Just
yes,
those kinds of
yes.
yeah, and so we talked a little bit about like your spiritual background, and you didn't really have that much like you were saying what your mom went to church a little bit. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. My mom grew up in a Lutheran church, and when she moved out to the country, there wasn't any church like that. So she found a United Church, which was kind of neutral. And so we would go with her, my sister and I. And then I think my sister decided not to go. And then I eventually said I didn't want to go either. I just didn't see the benefit of it. So yeah, so I think I love nature. So that was my church. Nature and the water and the stillness of the countryside and yeah, so I really appreciated that instead of any kind of religion. Just didn't feel comfortable there either. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, that's kind of cool though that you just recognize that in your younger years and how much you did love the outdoors and nature, which is I feel like that's such a cool part of your story in the sense that we should appreciate this world and nature and right being outdoors and the
Yes.
animals and I know you have a great respect for animals and we'll talk about that a little bit different or a little bit later. So yeah, you said you kind of went along in life and you weren't too serious about it, having lots of fun. You want to talk about then something happened to one of your friends and
Sure. Till
hear
I
about
think
that.
I was probably about 24 when I was working in a little it was a gym and they had a little restaurant there and I knew the tennis pro there and something happened and he got murdered and that really shook me up and woke me up.
Yes.
I had changed my whole lifestyle. I decided to work for a year, save up money, and go to massage therapy school. And I
Yeah.
did that. And yeah, that was a big shock. But the massage therapy taught me about anatomy, pathology, physiology. It was amazing. I really gained a true respect for the body
Yes.
and took better care of myself. It just showed me a better way to live. And I think then I started to explore different teachers like Matt Kahn. He was a big influence in my life about taking care of my inner child. Eckhart Tolle taught me how to be present and live in the moment.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, there was many teachers that I had along the way that I would watch YouTube videos and I would read books and gain some knowledge in that way.
Yeah, so important, hey? Yeah, when
It
you were
is.
going through your list, like Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer,
Yes.
Harris, Joe Dispenza, I wrote them down. Michael Beckwith, Bruce Lipton, Oprah's guest, and Dolores Canyon. Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't know you then, and I have followed all those same teachers. And it's,
Yes.
they just kind of bring to light. I always feel like, those kind of people in our life bring to light what we sort of inherently know inside, but we've forgotten, right? And
Yes.
they just bring out and remind us of who we are. That's kind of how I like to think
Yes.
of teachers, right? And
Yes.
that's why it resonates so much. I think, hey, Doris, when we hear them, we're like, yes, that's the truth, right? We resonate with that truth.
Yes.
Yeah,
So true. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. And at each moment in my life, sometimes I would pick up a book that I came upon and start reading it and not really understanding it. But then maybe a couple of years later, I would pick it up and I'd go, oh yes, yeah, I get it now.
that's true.
So
Sometimes it
yeah,
doesn't resonate right away, and then as we're
that's right.
growing in kind of in that way, then it resonates
Yes.
later and we understand it. Yeah, because sometimes, yeah, I've done that too, where I've been suggested a book and I've started and I'm like, oh, I don't really, I don't really get it. And then later on, I'm like, oh, I so get this, right?
Yes.
As
Yes.
as you grow kind of in that spiritual journey. And so now when you were you married at the time? Because when you were a massage therapist.
Yes, I was a massage therapist. I graduated when I was 28, and then I met my husband, I think, when I was 30.
Okay.
So, yeah, we met and we both wanted children. And there was this, I knew him from my childhood, so I knew his family. His sister was a good friend of mine and still is. I love her dearly. And there was just this comfort about it. So we decided to move in together, try to have children. And yes, almost right away, we got pregnant, and I've got two beautiful children that I don't know what I would do without them at this point. It's just I'm so blessed because I never really was too interested in having children. I
Right.
think the whole process of my friend being murdered and waking up and going, okay, life is more than this. It's more than a big party. It
Right.
is, having beautiful children and now a grandchild. And there's so much, it's brought me so much more joy than I could ever imagine. And
Yeah.
just instead of being on my own and just, living that kind of a lifestyle. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's so true, Doris. Yeah, there's so many important things in life, hey, and I think
yes,
a lot of us, when you're younger, you just are in that mode of having fun and partying or what.
sure.
That's
It's,
many people's story, I feel like, and then
yes,
and then things start to sober you up, like your friend's murder
yes,
and things like that, and you start to understand what's really important and
yes.
life. And of course, I agree that family is and yeah, I can always hear that in when you speak about your family and your children and now your grandson, just how much you value that, which is
Oh, yes,
also how I feel too. Not and it's
yes.
not everybody does have children and even get married or whatever, and that's all our own journeys, right? And choice.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Yes.
but I feel like, for many, that is a big part of life and it really brings a lot of joy and satisfaction, hey?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I remember we talked about this, I thought this was interesting. When you got married in that part you didn't want in your vows about to say, till death do us part. I thought that was
Yes.
interesting. There was something in you that really didn't resonate with that, and it was almost like you were really serious about committing to something like that.
Well, we committed for 20 years.
Yeah,
I figured that was as long as it would take to raise our children to be young adults or, and I thought, yeah, it was just a bit too long to commit. And as we see, what is it, 50% of marriages don't last that long. So there was that sense of commitment,
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
but not a lifetime. That
yeah,
it just seemed like way too long. And I thought about it and I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. And we did. We did discuss it after 20 years and it just wasn't working for us at
yeah,
that point. So we decided to separate.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I just thought that was interesting because so many times we do just say these vows without really thinking about it. Like you said,
Yeah.
many marriages do. So I think it's interesting that you really took it serious. You didn't want to say something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That you felt
Mm-hmm.
like maybe you couldn't, you weren't sure. And so
Yes.
I think that's good because you were really thinking about it, right? And
Yes.
whereas so
Yeah.
many times we just say it and it almost doesn't mean anything, right? And
Right.
so
Yes.
it was interesting that you had really thought about that point.
I
So
did. Yeah.
yeah, and you had an experience you talked about when you went to Peru. Do you want to, and that was when you were still married and your children were younger, but not I forget what the ages were, but not real young. But you just decided you wanted to go on this adventure. Can you talk about that? And it didn't kind of turn out exactly how you wanted, but it ended up
Even better.
a good, yeah, even better. Yeah, you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was looking for a volunteer. I wasn't sure where, and I found this a volunteer placement for an art teacher, and I thought, oh, that's very interesting. And then I connected with the ashram in Peru,
Right,
and somebody was going to meet me at the airport, and I thought, oh, this is a good start. So I, excuse me, I booked a trip for a month, and so I went down, and I was on my own, of course, and met this person that picked me up at the airport, and I spent about 13 days at the ashram,
right.
and I mostly hung out with one woman that was there and waiting for her guru to come back to tell her what to do, and I just found that very odd. I
Yeah, yeah,
oh my dear, you should really try to, not should, but perhaps
yeah,
the thought would be to think for yourself and do what you feel is right.
yeah,
And I don't know what happened to her, whether she did go back to Italy with, she had a young daughter down there. So I thought, oh my goodness, that you're missing out on so much, and your family is missing out on you and your daughter. So I tried to encourage her to return to Italy.
yeah,
And then I met this young girl that came to the ashram and said, oh, I think I'll continue traveling. So I said, oh, would you mind if we traveled together? It would be wonderful. So we did. And we traveled all over by local bus and went to the Nazca lines, went to, where else do we go? We traveled slowly to go up to the mountains. So we went to Bolivia, we went to Lake Titicaca, and then took another bus all the way over to Machu Picchu
right.
and spent a really beautiful evening in this beautiful little hostel. The river was below us and there was all glass around. I'll never forget it. It was a beautiful little Airbnb, and then went to Machu Picchu, which is quite a magical place. It's
Yeah,
on top of a mountain and it's this ancient ruin. And there's really not been any absolute discovery of what it was. And I just felt that it was, I walked around barefoot and we spent the day there. Got a beautiful picture. We went there early in the morning, got a sunrise picture of my back and all. Well, I was looking at the whole place and there was no one there. So
yeah,
that was the beauty of going early in the morning and thinking, oh, this is so cool being the only one here. But I wasn't, but
yeah,
it looks like that. And overall, it was a beautiful journey. It gave me a lot of courage and a lot of strength to decide what I need and wanted in life. So it was a beautiful journey, and I so appreciate everyone, my children and my husband for, you know, accepting that I wanted to and needed to do this trip.
yeah. Yeah, that's really, yeah, and there's that adventure side and that freedom side to you, Doris? And
Yes,
I think that
yes,
that is really beautiful that, your family was accepting of you doing that and then how it ended up and just your experience there on that mountain. You sensed something spiritual too, right? Like there was
yes,
something beautiful
yes.
about it. And then I thought it was interesting how you with the lady that you met at the ashram, and you were wondering why she was just waiting for her guru to tell her what to do and just kind of missing out on life. And I feel like that's an important thing, that sometimes we are just like wanting something from somebody to tell us what to do, and that's something that we all have to be, careful of, is not just we should live our life and like you say, enjoy your family, enjoy your children, and not just be waiting to be told what's the next step. We don't have to have, I mean, gurus and that are respected, and they do have their place, I feel. But if we're just relying on others all the time, it's we have it within us, right? And that's something that
Yes.
I feel like you hear taught so much. We have it within us, the answers. And you kind of inherently knew that, and you just thought it was curious how she was waiting. So I think that's good how you just noticed that, and that wasn't for you sitting around waiting for someone to tell you what to do, or a guru. So I think, you had that knowing inside yourself, which I think is interesting.
Thank you. And we all have that knowing. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes it's just buried so deeply that as you said, we've forgotten about our
Yeah.
where we've come from and why we're here.
Yeah,
So,
exactly, Doris. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's interesting how that, and you were saying that at the ashram it was kind of challenging, and you never sort of ended up staying as long because the language barrier was a big thing, right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
you just, but then you went on to, traveling with that girl, and she was younger, I think, was she a
Yes,
little?
she was a
Yeah,
lot younger. She was in
yeah,
her early 20s or something, but
yeah, but just
we
a cool experience, say, to
yes.
travel together, and she spoke English too, right?
Absolutely. And I was so grateful that she came because I really didn't have anything else planned when I was in Peru. I didn't even knew Machu Picchu existed. That's how blindly I went
Right,
to
right.
Peru. Just s- really surrendering to the flow of life and whatever came upon me or whatever happened. Just making those decisions led me to a wonderful journey.
Yeah, and I feel like in life we are led, and we don't sometimes even realize it, that
Yes.
we're led, and we have that, that spiritual, beings. I feel like there's angels, there's guides, there's the source
Yes.
is leading us in life, and sometimes we don't even recognize it, and until later. Sometimes then we look back and say, "Oh, I was really, guided and led to do this or do that, and this really enhanced my life or changed my life." And I
Yes.
feel like it's really interesting to hear people's, journeys for that reason, of just how they were guided, and they maybe didn't even realize it. Um,
Hmm.
you talked about how you went to the spiritual church. I think it was in Toronto or Ontario when you were
Yes.
there. That kind of opened up a different world to you too.
Oh, yes. Yes. There wasn't many people there, but the people that were there, I totally resonated with. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I think I found my tribe. I really felt connected with the whole process of the meeting and working with the spirits and working with angels and the divine energy. And I just thought, oh my goodness, this is what I believe in. And I've found other people like-minded, which is beautiful.
Right. And
And I
was that,
continue.
yeah, was that the first time you went to like a church like that?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I continued after that. I went to the Church of Universal Love in Toronto, which is a beautiful gathering of lovely, lovely souls, very deeply connected to the divine energy. And I frequently go to the Aurelia Church of Spiritual Church there.
Okay.
Yeah, and now I go to the spiritual church in Calgary, the
Yeah.
Gateway. That was beautiful find. I can't wait to come back and go in the winter.
Yeah.
And also the Center of Spiritual Living in Calgary, which
Yeah.
is very open, and I love that. I love the concept of that gathering and the music and the people that I've met. I met you there, so just
Yes.
so grateful for that center.
Yes. Yeah, that is a good center. And I agree. It's like, and when I first went, the music was really touching, And I miss that kind of from my background. I grew up on that Pentecostal charismatic, and they did have good music. And so since my awareness expanded a little beyond that, and I felt like I needed to find another place when I went to the Calgary Center for Spiritual Living, that I was really touched. I remember I
Yes.
cried, and it was like the
Oh,
music was very touching, and I kind of missed that part, and gathering together with people, and hearing a message that encourages your life. And I know that the Calgary Center really respects all religion, which I
yes.
really appreciate now, because sometimes we're taught that there's only one way, that in different religions, and that has to be that way, or you can't connect, and that's not
Yes.
true, right? We all connect in our own ways and have our own spiritual journey, which I also
Yes.
really appreciate. Yeah, so that's cool. How did you find the Calgary Center? Did you just look it up, or
I did. I looked up spiritual churches. I did go to the first spiritual church when I first came to Calgary, and yeah, I wasn't quite sure whether that was my fit, but now going to the Gateway, and then there's people from the First Spiritual Church that go to the Gateway too. So I have not yet gone back to the First Spiritual Church, but I plan to when I come back. And I think Sundays will just be a day of, beautiful spiritual gatherings and
yeah,
having lunch with some people and just devote that whole day to
yeah,
rest and relaxation and connecting. I
that's
think
it.
we've lost that. We've Sundays have gone by the wayside. It used to be family days and spending time with loved ones and friends and going to church, and I love that aspect of it, but now finding the real church that I belong to, three
Yeah.
of them. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
dedicate.
nice that there's the different ones, right, that are out there, and
Yes.
that you can really resonate with you. And you're right, we've kind of maybe lost that a little bit. It used to be more traditional every Sunday, right? And
Yes.
there's something about that, being together with other people, and like you say, family, but friends too, and joining
Yes.
together. So I think it's important. I think that connection with people is important. And I think we maybe in our society have lost that a little bit, right? There's so much independence, and, not as much of that traditional culture as it used to be. So I guess there's, you know, good and or pros and cons to it, because sometimes people felt obligated, like I had to go to church. Maybe they didn't even
Yes.
really enjoy it, but they felt like
Yes.
it was an obligation. So it's different when you really desire to be there and be with people, and it's all
Yes.
kind of what it's motivated by, I feel. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think a day of devotion to remembering, really, remembering the divine energy and remembering what life is truly about, family and friends and love and peace and all
Yes.
that beautiful, all the beautiful things that life has to offer. I walked my labyrinth yesterday and I just walked around in grace and gratitude and love and peace, and it just felt so connected to the divine energy. I just felt like, oh boy, I'm going to do it today, even though it's raining. I'm going to get my boots on and go do
Oh,
that every day. It's like sending out that beautiful love energy to the world, and as we so desperately need it at this time.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's so cool that you have that little labyrinth, and maybe people don't know, but it's like a circular path that you walk in towards into the center, and then you walk around and round out again, and just be kind of contemplating about something, or just in silence, right? And
Yes.
connecting with, the divine, and just, yeah, kind of that gives you that peace. And I know they have them in Calgary here, and I've gone to one that I really enjoy, an outdoor one, and sometimes they even have indoor ones, just kind of painted on a tarp or something, and you can do it. So I think those labyrinths, and they go way back in history. I know that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Have them
Yes, they do.
in some of the countries, and they go way back. So that's cool that you have one right in front of your house and
Yes.
that it brought you that peace, just walking it, right? Yeah,
It
that's
does, and it's very grounding too. I think I did it barefoot. Well, I could do it barefoot today too. It's a
yeah.
little furry, but barefoot walking that labyrinth is so grounding and such a lovely energy. It's just beautiful. My neighbor's the little girl over there, her grandmother told her to go walk it and go to the center and make a wish and then come back out. So it was really sweet. I hope to
It's
teach my grandson to do that too.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Doris. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really, and walking in your bare feet, like I know a lot of people don't know, but there's ions even in the ground that are helpful to our bodies, and we should connect
Absolutely.
because we wear shoes and we don't connect with the earth hardly anymore because our rubber soles keep us from that connection. I think people
Yes.
don't realize that it's just so helpful to your body physically. And that's why
Yes.
they going outside in your bare feet or on the beach, just being, connecting with the earth is really good. It's
Yes.
scientific. It actually has good benefits. So I feel
Yes.
like a lot of people don't realize this. And
Mm.
I've watched a couple documentaries on it, which is helpful to do. And they're called grounding, right? So it's
Yes.
helpful to watch those and understand why it helps us out. But just physical, and then there's that spiritual connection too, right? To the
Yes.
earth. So yeah, that's so cool that you have that and that your neighbors can enjoy it too, right?
Yes.
I wanted you to talk just about you had shared a story about how you came to your cottage and you noticed on you sort of on your path under these rocks all the ants. Can you share
Yes.
that? I thought that was such a cool story because
Yes.
you didn't want to hurt them. So do you want to share that?
No, and I don't want to spray or I never use any. I can't believe they're still selling Roundup, but I've got a solution of vinegar that I'm going to use on actually cutting back on the grass here because I don't really care for grass. I'd rather have walk on clover. But anyway, I turned over a bunch of rocks too yesterday because I want to move them. But I
Yeah,
just rolled them over and I talked to the little guys and I said, okay, please, either move on or just find another place in the yard. I don't mind having them on the yard.
yeah,
But last year I turned up a huge rock and there was, oh, a lot of ants under there. So I just kind of meditated and said, please, it's too much. You're walking, like you just, I didn't know what kind of ants they were. But anyway, I just asked them if they could just relocate because there was just a lot of them around.
yeah,
So the ants go marching one by one. They started going down my driveway, cutting across at a certain point, and finding a new place to live. It was a stump had been cut down, so there was a lot of brush there. And it took them about a day and a little bit more of the next day, and
yeah.
they were all gone.
Yeah, I thought that was such a cool story because you didn't want to hurt them and you kind of just were it was almost like you were just giving your intention to them, please move on. And they
Yes.
did. And like you say, they marched in that little line. And I just thought that was such a beautiful story because you respect nature, which we should all. And I think
Yes.
sometimes we don't enough. And you really have that in your heart. And off they went, right? You said they just left and they went on to the tree stump, which I thought was just like a really, really cool story. And also you said you have is it a hedgehog or not a hedgehog?
Oh, groundhog.
A groundhog, yes, that lives.
Yes.
And you sort of
I'm
just let the groundhog sort of abide with you too, like under the shed, is it? Or
Yes, under the shed. I haven't seen them this year. They only
okay,
last about 4 or 5 years, and this is my fifth year being here. Excuse me. So, I haven't seen him or her, so
okay,
I'm not
yeah,
sure. But
yeah. But you have
anybody's
that sort
welcome.
of respect and you're okay with, I
Yes.
mean, obviously sometimes like with the ants, you wanted them to move on, but I just feel like you have that heart for nature and for
Yeah.
animals, and I think that's beautiful. That is like, the higher self, the God self, I feel like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
in us that we know that we and of course, I believe you probably believe this way that we're one with everything, the earth,
Yes.
people, animals, you know, the
Yeah.
rocks, the mountains, the streams, like we're kind of all in it together and we should have a respect, right?
It's like heaven on earth, boy. Once you realize it and you look around at all the different animals, even all the different birds in the world, it's incredible. Look, I think I shared that story with you when I looked at that big picture of the gray elephant, and he was just so beautiful. It was just a gray elephant with a white background, and it just brought tears to my eyes. I'm not quite sure. I think because I kind of resonated with it and all of the struggles that elephants have had, that all the abuse and, just it was just I felt that sadness when I looked at it. I mean, it was just a beautiful picture again, but
Yeah,
it's just all the hardships that they've had and it had to endure. And it's all from people doing it. It's not from their own kind or not from anything else. It's people, human beings doing this
yeah,
to
yeah,
to the animals. And I just yeah, I felt that. I felt that pain and I
yeah,
thought, wow, let's smarten up everybody and start respecting what we have
yeah,
here on Earth. It's just every little creature. I found a little black and brown little caterpillar. I
yeah.
removed one of the, and I took it real slow, removed the rocks because I'm rearranging my garden. And he was curled up, and I think he was still sleeping. So I just covered him up with
Oh,
leaves and I covered him up again. I thought,
well,
no, he's not ready to come out.
that's so cute.
And a
Oh,
lot of times I don't touch anything,
yeah,
but I have to get ahead of things when I move rearranging gardens. So I just kind of gently say
yeah,
sorry, cover
yeah,
them
yeah,
back up
yeah,
again.
exactly.
But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
even
think that's
this,
beautiful that you have
even
that
the
heart and you're touched, right? And
yeah, even the tiny little worms and everything, the little centipedes running around going, "What? Is it time to get out?" It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so cute. But
Oh,
yeah, I think it's very important to respect everything. When we
yeah,
use pesticides on things, it just creates so much havoc amongst the birds, amongst even the water. We live on a hill here, so any kind of things we use is going to go into our water and
right.
yeah, it's just wish people would realize that and not use that. There's other ways to remove weeds if you don't want them on your yard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
try
that's
to.
really cool that you're so mindful of that, Doris, because not and it's even something I've had to learn in my life. And even like you were talking about centipedes, and I have to be honest, I it's been hard for me with bugs because I kind of get scared of them. But then as I've grown in my spiritual journey, I realized,
Yes,
I have more of that heart, and it's like
yes,
respect for them. And even if they say sort of, yeah, I was kind of raised in that out kind of environment where you were scared of things, right? And so
yeah,
sometimes it's your background and upbringing, but as
yes,
as we grow, in our lives and spiritually, I feel like we do feel more of a connection and have more of that respect. And I really appreciate that you have that in you. Just seems like so naturally, and you love all the little creatures and all the little bugs, and I think that's really cool. And that's an encouragement for all of us to be more
yeah,
mindful of that. And like you say, not using the chemicals and things that are going to be harmful, to the earth
hmm
and to the insects and the birds and the
yes,
water, like you say, it goes out into the water. You're by a lake there, so you have
yes,
to be mindful.
yeah,
And I think that's really, really great, Doris, that you have that in you, and
mm,
that's an encouragement for all of us.
yeah. Nature takes care of itself, even if there's an abundance of something, something else will become the predator and eat. And if you attract the birds and the bugs to your garden, everything, there's just that beautiful balance of everything
Right?
that
Yeah.
will happen.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Oh, that's really beautiful. Yeah, well, I think I know that you're on to different adventures in your life,
Yes.
and just open, and you have that sense of adventure and exploring, and I'm really happy for you in your life to see where you end up. And I know you
Thank
had
you.
desire to travel and go see places, and so I'm sure that's in your future. I know it's coming. So, but just as far as like for anyone listening today, what would you encourage someone that's kind of on their, journey in life or spiritual journey? What would you have some encouraging words to say to them about
Yeah,
life?
just I think when I have just opened my heart to everything around me, to appreciate all the beauty life has to offer, realizing that it is heaven on earth, and you can have that. It's
Right.
believing in yourself,
Yeah.
believing that you deserve it. Everything that you desire and wish for, you deserve. And
Right.
that's that beautiful inner child of taking care of her or him and loving them deeply without no ego involved, but just loving and caring for yourself so deeply that whatever you desire in your life, you can have.
Yeah.
It's the universal law of if you desire something. Now, we don't have control of the timing or, of the when it shows up, but you just keep on reminding yourself that that's kind of the life that you want to live and desire it. And the universe, it's the law. It has to come. So
Right.
and
Right.
just work towards whatever, however you need you can't just sit back and go, oh yeah, it'll come, but
Yeah.
have that, imagine it, do the visualization of beautiful things that you'd like in your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And feeling it too, right? Sometimes
Yes.
really feeling what that would feel like, because
Yes.
sometimes we think of our desires and then, or even saying affirmations, but we're not really feeling it inside. And that's
Yes.
something that I've sort of been hearing is like, really feel it as if it's happening and what would that feel
Yes.
like? So there's all those
Yeah.
parts of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's so true. Is just we create our own life, right? And
Yes, we
with our,
do.
our thoughts, so, you know,
Thoughts, words, and deeds.
yes,
Very important what we think and what we say to people, how we present ourselves, how the world sees us. It's all kind of part of the magic of life. It
yeah,
is it can be so magical and so interesting if you so desire. I mean, I want an interesting life. I want to have it all
yeah,
because
yeah.
because
And
we
that's
deserve
okay. Yeah,
it.
exactly, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
had mentioned just going back because you said that the one of the first teachings about the inner child you said really spoke to you so much about loving that inner
Yes.
child and caring for that inner child and
Hmm.
that
And protecting it and loving it so deeply. And
right.
that way, then you love yourself and then you love others and you spread the love. And I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, because we
Just
can't really love others until we truly love ourselves, and we all have
yes.
that inner child. And it's funny because I've heard teachings on that too, and it's like I feel like when you get older, you don't actually feel very old, right? Do you agree?
No.
Like you don't. Sometimes
Yes.
you just feel like that. You're still that little child inside.
Yes.
Is thus the reason that there is so much taught about that inner child because we're that soul inside, and yes, we do age and grow, but we still feel just like almost like that young person, that child still inside. And it's a
Yes.
yeah, I love that to focus on loving ourselves so that we can love others and enjoy
Yes.
enjoy life and
A
you know yeah
couple
love.
of days ago, I got back on my bike and I feel like I'm 10, 10
Oh,
years old on my
that's
bike.
oh
'Cause
that's yeah,
it's so much fun to
yeah.
still be able to ride a bike. Still, when I get out, I went kayaking already. The ice has just been off for about a week, and
Okay, cool.
I had to get on
Cold.
the water, so I went kayaking, and it's all just part of being alive and enjoying every day, every
Yeah,
moment, every day I wake up in gratitude and just being grateful for. you know, who I am and who I
Mhm.
love and who loves me. And it's
Yeah.
just beautiful.
Important. And that's the thing is like spirituality is just like what you're saying, all those practical things is enjoying nature, the water, right? And going
Yes.
for a bike ride and enjoying the people in your life. That is what it's all about, right? It's not all
Yes.
like sometimes higher stuff or, it's just the practical everyday stuff. And that's what we all need to remember. And I know that's something for me too, to be mindful, just enjoy life, enjoy people, and, be
Yes.
creative like you with your art
Yes.
and your
Yeah.
drumming and all those things are things that help us to feel alive. And we are all those created souls from the creator, right? So we express that in all different ways, and that's what brings us
Yes.
joy of life. And yeah, it's so cool. So yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing your life and your journey. And there's lots of little nuggets in there, Doris, for anyone listening, just to, encourage them in their life, just to, in these practical ways, right? And,
Yes.
respecting nature and people and, having that adventuresome side and letting
Yes.
ourselves do that, right? And
Yeah. And
you've
to have
stepped out,
fun.
you've
You
stepped out
know,
of that
that's
comfort zone, right? And so
right. And to
we
enjoy
don't,
it and go out there and live your life and have fun doing it. Whatever
yeah,
floats your boat, you know, it could just
yeah,
be walking in nature
yeah,
or doing whatever you love. I
yeah.
think that's
Right.
that's so important.
Yeah, whatever you love, what brings joy to you, and that's going to be
Yes.
different for each person individually, right? And so
Yes.
that's so important, and I feel like that's what, God, source, or whatever you want to say, wants for us is to have
Yes.
that joy. So whatever brings joy to us, so that's so important. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So thanks so much for sharing today, Doris, and
Thank you.
I wish you well in all your journeys ahead. I hope you've enjoyed listening to our guest's story of their spiritual journey today. If somehow it's helped you or resonated with you, please do leave a comment below. Maybe you're going through your own time of and spiritual journey, so maybe it's helped you in some way. Also, please like and subscribe to this channel so you'll be sure to get more and hear more of these spiritual journeys. Thank you very much for being with us today.